Alright, getting that video done. Wait, who the heck's calling me?
Hey, Claude, did you miss me?
Oh, it's just you.
That's right, and I'm gonna get my revenge on you for locking me up to play those horrid simulators which you call games.
Oh, that reminds me. I gotta do a Sonic Boom Rise lyric video at some point. I was wondering if you could get some gameplay footage.
No, I am done doing your bidding.
Look, if you at least get some footage for Save the Light, I will be fine.
No.
Fine, for the first episode, there'll be no gameplay. At least this gives me an excuse to tone down the editing.
Remember this, Claude. I will get out of here and I will get my revenge.
Ugh, why does she have to be so difficult?
On the topic of licensed games, when you normally mention them, people kind of get a little type feeling, like, licensed games, those are terrible. And yeah, I can kind of see where they're coming from, you know. You got plenty of terrible licensed games, like SpongeBob's Boating Bash, the regular show 3DS game. Any game Disney makes, or license at least. But then you got some games that are actually kind of good, and they're licensed games. Like the SpongeBob games on GameCube and PlayStation 2, and of course, this one we're going into. It's on To Save the Light, and its history.
Now, around a year ago or so, I guess they thought the previous game that featured Steven and other what's called Battle Crashers wasn't very received well at all. It's pretty terrible. So I guess they realized that that game sucked in both gameplay and, well, sales. So they decided to just come up with this game. And oh boy, was it one hell of a decision. So it started around when Season 4 was really new, I would say about, late 2016 or whatever. And later on, they made the first trailer. Everybody was hyped, let's just say that. And it was going to be released not too far afterwards. They just released a few other trailers just to show off a character or two and other things that would be in the game. But it ended up getting delayed for like 3 months or so. As you know, it was probably going to be released around July or August originally, but it ended up being pushed back to a fall release in Halloween. So anyways, now let's get on to the game itself.
We got the game on Halloween, and let's just say it was kick. Can't you agree? Or
Yeah.
It was kick, and we had a lot of fun. There were some bugs here and there, and we're not really here to talk about the bugs. After beating the game, we kind of just thought there was some little bit of stuff missing, and you can give the game a pass because it's $25. It's pretty cheap. But here's the things we kind of just thought were missing. Let's get on to the actual house interaction.
Now, when it comes to interaction around the house, all you really do is you start the game, just have a little mini cutscene after a little cinematic. You talk to Connie for a bit, then you get to move around the house for a bit. The only thing there really is to do is just mosey on around and find your cheeseburger backpack, and you get out of the house and walk down the hill to the beach, and boom, you're at Beach City, and then plot begins. What they could have done, you could have went to like the gym's room, or could have played, Steven's GameCube just an animation. Like, just little details that were just there to look nice would have been fine, and it's not really too much of an excuse. The designs of the characters in this game are pretty damn simple, simpler than what they are in the show. No idle animation whatsoever. Now let's head on to the house expansion.
So with the house expansion, this kind of goes along the gym rooms, and I guess I can go into a little bit more detail on that. Well, we had this idea. What if you could go inside Rose's room and you can create like a sandbox type world thing, fight the bosses you already fought, and just, overall just play around with some of the assets of the game? What if you could go in the closet and just try on some outfits, like Steven's pink shirt that Connie gave him, Steven's zoo shirt, heck, Greg could have it too, and maybe Pearl gets a tuxedo, and of course all the gyms get their Season 1 outfits. That would be pretty cool. And of course, just go in the bathroom, just, because, it's kind of just just kind of implied that it's there. And of course, the kitchen, you don't really see really much of the kitchen. You see a counter, and that's kind of it. You can't really go to the kitchen area and just look at the fridge or anything. You can't, I don't know, you can't just open the freezer and just get like every hour a cookie cat. Like, you can't really do that. You can't just... Yeah, that's really all we gotta say about the house itself. Now, on to the areas in the game. Now, with some of the areas, there's not really a lot of things you can do. Like Beach City, I mean, we'll touch upon Beach City in a bit, but all I will say is you can't go to the wharf, and you can't really go inside the arcade. Like, you can't really go inside any buildings except for the Big Donut and the temple. Other than that, really, the building, not even really the main buildings. I mean, it would be cool if you could go inside the main buildings or any building that was seen in the show. Of course, the minor houses wouldn't really matter, but other than that, really just, there's not really a lot to do in Beach City once, you know, completing the side quests. I mean, you can't go to the wharf and just have fun there, and it would be cool if once you beat the game, Greg's car wash would get fixed, but it doesn't. The barn, you can't even go in the barn. It's kind of weird. They could have made a little area. And you don't even have, like, there's not even, like, the crops. Like, if we were to believe this takes place after Gem Harvest, because, you know, it does pumpkins in the game, then you would at least be able to see, like, some of the crops. But no, they're just not there. There's not really a lot to do there. It's just there to get Peridot in the game as a playable character, and then just leave, really. Bismuth's Forge I'm happy with. They did an alright job. But there's, of course, could have been more areas in the game. Now on to area inclusion.
All the areas that are already in the game, I like what they chose. Basically stuff that you would expect for the most part. Obviously, Beach City Forest, the Great North. There's even a area that recurs from Attack the Light, which is the precursor of this game. It appears again this game, and the Hestonite Temple, or some people would call it the spooky, scary basement or whatever. Oh yeah, and there's also Bismuth's Forge, which is probably, in my opinion, the most interesting area in the game for in terms of like backtracking or whatever. But in terms of like variety, you can't really go outside anywhere in terms of like the real world that they live in, because we all know the portal that's in their house is like in the game, but the thing is you can't really use it because they're like all over the place in all the other areas that exist. And that was honestly what I was kind of expecting at first. Just go with other places that are not from the real world, but no, there's really only about a handful of places, and they could have added places like Empire City, which would have been easy because that would have its own shops or whatever. Go to Greg's big hotel or whatever. So Super Watermelon Island, like any place that would just resemble a village or whatever. It would, and not only that, they could have expanded the barn. Instead of just being in the barn, you could be in like a country yard area. Just if they would have added more areas, it probably would have made the game a little bit longer, but we can't judge it too hard since it's not from a AAA development. Some slack in terms of that. But still, at least maybe just at least a few more areas. Anyway, so let's head to the side quest. Now, the Beach City side quests, yeah, they could have added more. At most, there's like 15 to 16 side quests in the area. They're decent side quests overall. Like one of them, you get to deliver pizzas and such like that. Whenever you're done with that quest, you're simply done with it. What they could have done to make it replayable is unless you just got more money that way instead of just buying a bunch of enemies to waste your time and grind that way instead. It would just make a little bit more sense that way, just be a little bit more easier. Not only that, they could have had more side quests of all the other stores and places that you can like be around with, but they just never really decided to do really much of anything with them. Can't even go to the fair area at all, which that one blows my mind. They didn't do with Lapis very much. She just kind of sits there around the top of the barn. What they could have done, I mean, she could have still would have sat there, not be playable at all, and just quest, go in different areas and maybe grow some things, around the barn. And every time when you just progress more in the game, like on and on, just gets bigger, make corn or whatever, make pumpkin dogs or something. That would have been fun. But no, it's kind of let her just sit there, and I can see how it is because throughout the hype of the game before it came out, we never saw her in the trailers at all. And I guess that kind of makes sense because she's literally only like 2 minutes of the whole damn game. But hey, it's whatever at this point. But anyhow, on to CriticalDB's.
Yep, on to the Crystal Gem missions. Now, the Crystal Gem missions is actually an interesting concept me and Big Nose came up with. Okay, so you know how in the show, mostly early on, they would go on these missions and fight these corrupted gems and just bubble them up? Well, and this also goes along with be able to go in the rooms, because you'd be able to go in the bubble room, and who knows, it could be empty or something. It would be cool if you go around in all the areas that it's available and find corrupted gems. Like, I don't know, this could just be a post-game thing to add more replayability after beating the story, where you can just go around and just go get some corrupted gems, round them up into the bubble room. It would have been interesting, because it would have added more replayability, and more enemy types, too, that have nothing really to do with the actual light itself. Like different corrupted gems we saw from the show, and also going along with side quests, as well as just normal Crystal Gem ones, we could have had stuff like Beach-a-Palooza, where it could be Greg and Steven and go into like a Guitar Hero style, like using your directional pads, sort of like what you do with the magic puzzles as Greg, but instead like play it through a song, like, I don't know, play like an instrumental version of Like a Comet, do stuff like that as like Greg and Steven. I know all these nitpicks sound like we just really don't like the game, but we really love the game. We had just a blast with it. We just kind of just felt like, in terms of a Steven Universe game, if they ever make like, a third Steven Universe game on like a console, which can have nothing to do with the light, they could implement more of these ideas possibly. It would be really cool. Or, who knows, maybe incorporate these ideas as like a later update. Keep the game in its community running. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm CriticalDB, and this is Big Nose. Next episode of CriticalDB's Negative Nitpicks is going to be on a game which, it's different from Save the Light, because Save the Light was a good game. This one was a... You want to explain what this game was?
Pretty f***ing flawed.
Yeah, the next game we're going to be covering came out pretty recently, just mediocre score.
They were going to beat the dead horse on this one.
Yeah, because it's been talked about a lot. See you next time on Sonic Forces.